Hello and welcome back to Buckle Up. I'm Harry King and I join you from inside a Fiat Ducato, and that's because it is tipping it down with rain. However, I'm committed. I'm going to do a review and tell you what it's like. Right, the rain's holding off for a few seconds, so let's quickly run round the outside of the vehicle. I'll start here at the front. As you can see, it has been facelifted. Although you'll notice the general shape of the van remains the same. A lot of work has gone in here. In the grille, it looks much more modern with these little slats in it. As we move round the side, you will see that it is a fairly small, large van. That may be a slightly weird statement, but basically you can get this in 3 different lengths and 3 different heights, ranging from 5.4 metres to about 6.4 metres, and then in the heights we're ranging from about 2.5 metres to 2 3/4 metres. In terms of payload and space in the back, that then means you range between 10 cubic metres and 17 cubic metres of space. Obviously every single variant is capable of taking a lot of weight, but you can get up to 2 tonnes depending on the spec you go for in the back. And they all have a gross vehicle weight of 3,500 kilograms or above. Again, large Fiat badge around here at the back, and Ducato obviously. No trim level, there's only 2 available. The first one is called Ducato, weirdly. Second one is Primo, which is this. If you look right up here at the top, you will see I've got 2 cameras. That's one for the rear mirror, and then another one for the reversing camera that comes as standard on the Primo specification. Let's dig in though to the back. If I unlock it, maybe. Oh, we're professional here on Buckle Up. Just bear with me while I fish the key out of my pocket. Actually, I can show you the key. It's very, very, very simple. But I can lock the cab and the back separately, which is handy actually. So if I unlock that, and then open it up, and we will see lots of space. So another handle inside here to open this round. Now, unless I'm missing some sort of well-known trick, I do believe that these doors do only open at 90 degrees. I can't find a way really of opening them further round. I pull the handle, doesn't let me do it. This seems to be preventing me from doing it. I find it weird or hard to believe that there wouldn't be a version of this that had wide opening doors. But this is the one I've got, and I don't have a specs sheet, which is really weird. I've had to try and work out what this van is from the equipment on it. But there we go. That is lots of space. I think this is an L1 H2 or maybe an L1 H1. So this is maybe 10 cubic metres of space, but I've given you the range that's available. As you can see in here, we've got a full metal bulkhead. You can pay to have that removed, or obviously it's got bolts around it. You can remove it yourself if you really want to. A little bit of space over the top of the cabin for storage as well. And obviously this one has come pretty much bare. Please ignore my super professional packing material. So when I've been testing out the load area, can confirm the tie-down points work. I don't think they've ever been used though, because they were almost impossible to pull up off the floor. I do find often when I have these vans on test, even when they're quite old, they're very, very low mileage. People seem to get them to go and do a few errands, perhaps, and then don't really drive them other than that. Personally, I drive the van for the full week for everything I would need to do in a vehicle to really try and get a flavour of it. So if you want good van tests, stick around here at Buckle Up, Channel 2. You've also got a waistband high tie-down point area. Obviously, it's a van, fully customisable, so this has a bare floor, bare walls. You could panel it, you could put shelves in it. You can even get an extension to the wiring loom to make it easier to convert into a motorhome. Very, very versatile. I think, though, let's walk round and take a look into the cabin and see how it is for the driver/owner. Okay, so I wanted to quickly stop just before we get in there to mention that you will find the fuel filler flap in this area of the vehicle. On the other side of the van, though, on the passenger side of the van. I'm guessing that's so it's on the driver's side in Italy, where this van is from, or France, because it is a Stellantis van, I guess. If we open up the door, there's actually a few things to show you just before we climb in as well. So number one, look at this door. I mean, this is classic classic van stuff, but you've got a really, really low, really, really big door pocket. You can't reach that while driving, but great for storing odds and ends. Big old bottle holder, and then another pocket here. And then all of your handles also double as little pockets, so there's actually one all the way up here on the door. The thing I love is, look, the bodywork actually sticks out on the inside above the window, which means when you're sitting in and driving, you can look down and out and it doesn't impede your view. But it also means the handle's easy to reach. And the the other reason I like it is it reminds me of the Fiat Multipla, which had the exact same thing, to allow it to have a really, really large glass area and feel super light and airy. The other reason we're still out here is because I need to show you under the seats. Now, weirdly, the bigger the van gets, the less intelligent the interior storage gets, but you do still get these handy under seat trays with these little fold down areas. The thing about these is, though, they feel like a complete afterthought. Like, that's just a plastic clip. This falls all the way off when you open it. If you get a smaller van, you'd get things like the seats lifting up or folding forwards or all that stuff. Because there's just a huge amount of space in here, I think they've gone, well, they've got space for everything. We don't need to make it super, super configurable. I'll also show you, we've got fully adjustable chair controls here for the driver. I've got this set in my driving position. You'll note it is right against the bulkhead. Fairly standard for a taller driver. I'm 5'11" or 180 centimetres. Anyway, let's climb in. Let's stay on the theme of practicality and storage spaces. It will take me a moment to go through them all. I don't have anything up here on the roof because I've got that extra area in the storage space instead of having it up here for newspapers or whatever else. Let's turn around though and gaze upon the dashboard, for it is so incredibly dated. I mean, look at the sculpting around here. This is full-on mid-2000s dashboard, really, with an iPad stuck on the middle. It is, though, full of cubbies. So you can already see I've got a cup holder here. It's also got a wide section in it, I imagine, to fit a phone in. Although right in here you can't really see, but there is a wireless charger in the centre. Perhaps I can demonstrate this properly. If I pop that in, you see it light up. There you go. You can see the lights come on. The phone is now charging. I've also, going further down, got another 2 cup holders and another centralised space for storage. These, though, are a really long way down to reach if you're driving. And this one up here is angled. So if you've got a coffee cup, it's actually difficult to know where you would put it. I guess you'd have to go low and reach right down while you were driving, which feels not great. It feels like not the best solution. When they probably could have had something up here on the dash, which while being in the sun would have been much more accessible. You can see there's another or couple or sort of trays around the back here. Not sure how usable those actually are because the dash does slope quite aggressively downwards. And I've also got over here a nice big shelf as well as a glove box underneath it, which my tripod is in the way of. Oh no, that's as far as it opens. Gosh. Right. So this is very shallow and obviously completely undamped. But then there is a huge amount of space here as well. You'll also note I've got a 12-volt socket, a USB-C and a USB-A, which is very handy. And of course, I've got wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay because it is the year of our Lord 2025. And even though this is a commercial vehicle, you get the good stuff here. It's worth noting that that is a standard upgrade for the Primo trim. So this infotainment in general is an upgrade. And then I believe this one may be an upgrade again because the standard Primo one's 7 inches and then there's an upgraded one that's 10. This looks more like a 10-inch screen to me personally. So I think this is the extra upgraded system, which is another £1,500, but you do get the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on the standard Primo system. Up here, though, we've got a rear mirror camera, which you can turn it off and it becomes just a normal mirror. But if you turn it back on, there you go. Other controls here in the cabin, I've got a proper set of climate controls that are all buttons, single zone, but it is just a van cabin. It's not a very large area to climate control. And then right down here I've got a set of buttons as well, including a rotary volume knob, which is a nice thing to see and my lock and unlock. However, if I just want to lock the back of the van, I can also do that separately on the door, which again is very handy if you just want to make sure the back's secure but you're still maybe getting in and out of the cabin. You can do that separately if you want to, or lock everything from here in the center. Gauge cluster. This is what confuses me, because with the upgraded one of these, I should have a full digital cluster. I think these are digital, but it's like there's a proper full digital screen in here, and then these all light up. So I don't know if they're counting light up dials as digital dials, but I think this is just an LED display. I do have a proper display here in the middle. It's not super configurable, but there you go. You've got some information on it. You can skip through your various bits, which is lovely. Again, this is stuff that feels very odd to have in a cabin that looks and feels this dated. But actually, I shouldn't be surprised. This is completely normal small car stuff these days. Also, quickly on the seats, I've got a full bench seat here next to me. This pulls down to give me a large desk area and a couple of shallow cup holders. You might be thinking from earlier, oh, you put your coffee there, but no, it's only about an inch deep. So this is really for when you're stationary. The pen holder here at the top as well. These also have the upgraded upholstery, so God knows what the standard upholstery looks like, because this is pretty utilitarian. It's just a huge amount of room though, and I've got to say the seating position itself, even though I mentioned I'm all the way against the bulkhead, I am actually quite comfortable. I'm able to tilt the seat back. Often in a van you feel like you're on a very, very flat seat and you're perched forwards. Seating position in a van of this size, if you haven't driven one, you do feel like you are almost all the way over the front wheels, especially in this one because of the visibility down. I feel like I am just looking down onto the road. It's a great feeling of like command, and being able to see everything around you is really handy in a vehicle of this size. But it's also slightly unnerving the first time around you do it, or as you're getting used to it, it's a little bit unnerving. Don't let that put you off a vehicle of this size. It's actually surprisingly easy to drive this around. Last week I had a Ford Ranger Raptor on test, which is almost exactly the same size as this. This visually looks much bigger because it's tall and square and blocky, which it sounds weird describing a Ranger Raptor as not that, but obviously it's got big wheel arches and the cab coke bottles in and all that stuff. This is actually easier to navigate through traffic than that was, and that was smaller physically because I have huge door mirrors. The whole side of the van is completely flat. I can position myself perfectly. This still just about fits in a parking space. You will overhang at the back, so you have to find two next to each other, or one that goes onto a verge, or well, not a pavement because you don't want to overhang the pavement, but something where you can back over it a little bit, but you can fit it into a normal car park. Obviously, being 2.5 meters tall, you're not getting in basically any multi-story I've ever been in. I don't think any of them have a roof height that high. But for the size of vehicle, I think this is eminently drivable. And speaking of it being eminently drivable, shall we go and drive it? So, driving the Ducato, let's start with some facts and figures. This comes in two power outputs as a piston vehicle, either 140 or 180 PS. Bit weirder on the torque. This is the 140 automatic, so it has 380 Newton meters of torque. The manual only gets 350 Newton meters of torque for some reason, and then the high-powered 180 diesel gets 450 Newton meters of torque. They describe them as the light and maxi duties, respectively. You can also obviously get an electric version. I will, though, I think, discuss that on another day, potentially when I'm driving this or one of its electric brethren. Both of those engines are 2.2 litre 4-cylinder diesels. It's actually quite a refined engine, not very loud. The 8-speed gearbox, I've got to say, is a lot smoother than some of the Stellantis car gearboxes I've used, which is it's both good in here, but then sort of a shame that they're not using it for, you know, smaller family vehicles, where actually it'd be a bit more important to have a super smooth change. I want this gearbox to be nigh on indestructible and be able to tow stuff and take 3.5 tons for years on end without really grumbling. I can't test that in the space of a week, unfortunately. You'll have to go and check out reliability studies to know whether or not that will be the case. I've got to say though, from a driving perspective, it is a very nice gearbox. The shifter handle for it's a little bit odd. It's almost down on my knee when it's all the way in drive, and you can knock it across into sports mode for some reason. You never know. I mean, you can hold yourself in a low gear, although again, it's very intelligent. It's not been changing me up while I'm driving uphill or anything silly like that. So I've got to give full credit there. Pedal feel, the brakes are quite soft. It's a great big commercial vehicle. I'm not expecting sports car response. You do have to push them quite hard sometimes to get the stopping power you want, and that's with the van unladen. Now, in some respects, having more weight increases your traction, but it also generally increases your stopping distance. So I can't speak to how they'll feel exactly with a completely full load, but they don't always fill me with the most confidence. There's a nice throttle response though, and the pedal is nicely weighted. Also, I've got to say, in terms of the seating position, I'm far enough back from the pedals. I don't feel like I'm right over the top of them or I'm bending my knee too much. If I had to operate a clutch, it would be okay, which sometimes can be a bit of a faff in a van because you're right up and down, and doing that with your left leg can get a bit tiresome, but there's plenty of space down in the footwell in here, and I feel very comfortable indeed, actually. As I mentioned, visibility is fantastic. I can see right down onto the road below me and in front of me. The nose just dives away. Really, really easy to position myself. I found straight away I was able to drive this centered in the lane, even though it is obviously very big. It's well over 2 meters wide. The one thing I also have to mention, and again this is the caveat of I have not tested this fully laden, but I've got to say, unladen, the ride is so bouncy. I would expect that. There is a version of this where you can get extra height added into the rear suspension if you're expecting to carry large loads a lot. From the way this vehicle stands from the outside, I suspect that may have been ticked as an option. I don't know how these look when they're unladen if they don't have that option fitted. Unfortunately, I can't compare and contrast because, again, I don't have a spec sheet. It's a leaf sprung at the back and it's a solid rear axle. That's tough, it's simple, it's reliable. There's lots of reasons for it to be there, and if you have a load in here, I suspect it makes much more sense. But rivals from Mercedes and Ford are a little bit more refined, even when unladen. Let's talk about road manners. The steering itself, it's electronic power steering. It's super, super light. Very, very easy to input. There is no feel through the steering at all. I wouldn't expect there to be, but it is very easy to maneuver this and get it in some surprisingly tight spaces. And I'm not looking to push the limits of grip. I suspect this will go much faster than I'm willing to drive it, based on how I see any large van being driven on the motorway at any given time. In fact, I was overtaken on a roundabout by another version of this platform literally yesterday, and I was already doing 30 miles an hour. It was a motorway roundabout. So yeah, definitely plenty of grip here. I wouldn't want to push it far because you can't feel what's going on, and because it's high-sided, there's quite a bit of lean. All things that I think are perfectly acceptable though. I'm not complaining about those in any way. That's just the nature of the beast, as it were. I don't feel that this is uncomposed in any way. And actually, having said that it's bouncy, it's not bouncy to the extent that I feel like I'm losing control of the vehicle. It's just a bit jiggly and uncomfortable. But I do feel like the wheels are firmly in contact with the floor, and I can drive down the road, no problems. In terms of going longer distance, this is fitted with cruise control as standard. You can upgrade to full assisted cruise control that will steer and brake for you as well. That's a £2,700 option, so I don't know how many people will be taking that. If you do a lot of motorway miles, it's probably worth it. But I personally find the regular cruise control to be just fine. And with the steering being this light, I mean, honestly, it's not a hard vehicle to drive. The seat, the only thing it's missing for long distance driving is I haven't really been able to get back support the way I want it to be. The rest of the seating position is very good, but I do find I'm stretching around. When I'm getting sort of over an hour into the journey, my back just gets a little bit tired. And I guess the final thing would be price. So, as spec'd, I feel like a broken record. As fact, I can't confirm exactly how much this van costs. However, I can say that the price sheet starts from the mid £30,000 mark ex VAT and rises to around £40,000. So whatever kind of van you need, you're really just making the choice about the size of van you want. There's not a huge price differential between the different engines or the different sizes. It's really about what works for you. There are a couple of more expensive options, the infotainment, the auto driving being two of the notable ones. I think both of them are definitely worth it to the right use cases. And it still means that this van comes in well under £45,000, even if you're buying a really big, really powerful version of it. So I think that's very keenly priced indeed. And on that topic of price, fuel economy. So on longer journeys, I've achieved around 32 to 35 mpg. Round town, I've been achieving around 28 mpg. I don't think that's very bad for a vehicle of this size and scale. Obviously, that is the low-powered engine with the 8-speed auto. I suspect the manual will be slightly more fuel efficient just because it's detuned a little bit more as well. All in all, I think a very compelling case for a van of this size. My only complaints being a slight lack of refinement and a slightly dated interior. I think that's enough nattering on from me though, so let's go back and do a proper conclusion. So that is the Ducato tested, and what am I thinking? Well, I think for a big van, this is absolutely spot on. Sure, the interior is a bit dated, but actually you can get the latest technology in the van. It's safe. You can get all the stuff you need in the back. It's priced competitively. So I would say if you're looking for a 3.5 ton van, go and check out this. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. If you go down into the description, you'll find all the links to all our social medias. You'll also find two ways that you can support the channel. So we have channel memberships and we have merchandise. So please go and do one or all of those things, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.